Nice. If you could bottle up anything, whether it's an emotion, a skill, a habit, if you could bottle that into a small little tablet, what would it be that you could give to all of your athletes?
Oh, that's a good one. That they would listen to me. Yeah, as long as I give them good information. Probably, oh, that's a good one. I think one of the biggest things that I would want athletes is just the ability to adapt or continually grow. And what I mean by that is, as an athlete, you're going to run into, especially a university athlete, you're going to run into a lot of different scenarios where you've got finals, you've got midterms, you know, your boyfriend just broke up with you, you've got training tonight, and you've got a game on the weekend. And how do you kind of balance all that and basically be resilient and push through? So I guess resilience could be another one, but just the ability to adapt to different scenarios and continually keep pushing forward, because a lot of athletes will shut down during times of stress, times of distress. So I think, while like obviously that was an extreme scenario with all that going on, but it does happen and I've seen it. And yes, there's a time and place to, you know, like if you're through a bunch of emotional stress stuff, I don't expect you to, you know, hit a PR on your hang cleans or anything like that. But the body is very resilient, and a lot of people don't take advantage of that. Like they almost think like, oh, I can't do this, like I can't squat because my thumb hurts. It's like, well, no, like the rest of your body is fine. You can actually keep going. Yeah. And the same thing kind of goes with stress. When athletes feel a little bit of stress, for example, when you're studying for midterms, what athletes don't realize is that physical activity actually helps your brain, and sleep actually helps your brain. It helps your memory, it helps all these things. But a lot of athletes, kind of going back to the balance thing, a lot of athletes lose that sight of balance and they become very, very narrow-minded and focus on, oh, I need to have this midterm, I can't do anything else but study for this midterm. When in reality, same thing with your athletic performance, instead of like, I need to jump higher, so all I'm gonna do is jump, when actually you need to eat, sleep, you know, do all these other aspects. Same thing with other aspects in their life. They need to learn that these other aspects actually help, they don't hinder. Especially when it comes to like pulling all-nighters, like to me that is the worst way to prepare for an exam, because if you don't sleep, you physically can't remember what you just studied, so you're better off actually sleeping. But all that to say that the ability to adapt under certain scenarios and continually push in the right aspects, in the right areas, I think would be huge for athletes.
Nice. I think we see that a lot in the private space as well. It's just like, can you come back after? Oh, that's what it was. So, so you were talking about how like an athlete has, like you use the extreme example of like everything in the life of a university athlete or student athlete's life crumbles before them. The illusion that I was even under as a student, and I know many others are under the same illusion, is that like that is your entire life being crumbled, but like it doesn't actually get easier when you get into the real world of adulthood, and like you have dependents or you have a spouse, and like your real job is like crumbling around you or otherwise. Like going through that experience early, and I find like adversity is just the biggest benefit to propel you to growth. You don't necessarily grow without some level of discomfort and adversity, so being able to come out of that sort of extreme example on the other side, whether it takes you a week or 2 weeks, but still being able to come out of that on the other side is just going to help propel you to a better existence later on, and teaches you a lot more life lessons and more about yourself than not going through that, in my opinion. Not to say that you need to go out and like search for adversity. That's not always the greatest.
It'll find you. Yeah. But even with that, like you can treat it like a muscle. Like if I come in here and bench press 100 pounds and then 110, 120, 130, kind of as I go through, you know, 6 months later when I go through that 100 pounds that at first was super heavy, it's super light. So the same thing with adversity. It's like, oh, when I have midterms and you know, things aren't well in my relationship and I got sport practice and all these things going on. Like, that is a lot. But by your 4th year of going through that, pretty soon you look back and you realize, oh, I'm doing that like weekly. Like, that's just what my routine is. Hopefully not, that's pretty extreme. But just to say that, just like your other muscles, you can build up your ability to adapt through adversity, so that as life gets more challenging, there is more adversity and it does seem scary, but if you continually conquer the obstacles that are in your way, you will build up the strength to overcome those future adversities that you are freaking out about now. So that's, yeah, kind of the way that works too.